Good afternoon, everybody. I hope you guys are having a great Tuesday. And guess what? This is the last week of Bat Week, and it is actually officially Bat Week. So all week long, we're going to be celebrating bats, and we are so excited to be celebrating bats. We've celebrated bats all month long through bat awareness, and we've had a great time doing that. This week, we're actually going to have 2 Facebook Live sessions today, and we'll have another one on Friday, and that one's going to be all about Halloween, and we can't wait to celebrate that on Friday. Today, we have a special guest, and her name is Dr. Kristen Lear, and she is from Bat Conservation International. We'll be getting to her soon, but before we get there, let's talk a little bit about bat awareness, and let me show you our mission. So one of the things that you can do at home is get involved and learn more about bats and all the other conservation ability there are. So through Mission Conservation Virtual Learning, you can turn your backyard or your living room into a digital scavenger hunt. And who doesn't like scavenger hunts? I love scavenger hunts. Being able to get outdoors and have a great time. I will say today, I'm in Springfield, Missouri, and our weather is kind of yucky. It's pretty rainy and cold today, so you might want to do our educational scavenger hunt indoors, but you can get it outdoors or indoors. And what you're going to do is you're going to download the app, get your cell phone, go to mobile app and go to Agents of Discovery and download that app. And then from there, you're going to search Mission Conservation. You're going to find all types of different missions that we have available. So we have a new mission about Halloween that you can see up there. It's called the Halloween Haunt, but we also have our bat awareness missions. So you will download those missions and then you'll be able to play. And today we've got Agent Oz, and Agent Oz is hanging out right next to me here. And Agent Oz, he takes us on an educational journey, learning about bats, their importance to the health of the natural world and economy. You know, every day bats eat tons and tons of insects. They pollinate flowers and they spread seeds that grow our new plants and trees. And throughout this entire month, we have celebrated bats and everything that they do for us. Once you play the mission, it's really like a Pokemon Go game. If anybody's played Pokemon Go at home, you can play this mission. Then you can unlock your digital badges and you can collect those. And once you collect those badges, you have a gallery of all these cool things you've collected. You can also unlock our activity guide. So you can continue your learning through the activity guide, play games and activities. And once you're done with the bat mission, head on down to our Celebrate Public Lands, Pollination Nation, and our other missions provided by our partners. We have missions from the U.S. Forest Service and also all the way to Cook Islands. We have the Moana Pacifica missions from World Ocean Day and Ocean Icons. Great fun. Great time to get outdoors, have some fun with your family. If you're looking for activities to do at home, these are great activities that you can do as an entire family, earning rewards and winning prizes. And we're excited to bring Mission Conservation to you. But remember, this week, we're all talking about bats, right? Well, here at Wonders of Wildlife in Springfield, Missouri, we actually have a colony of bats. And we're going to bring up some videos because I actually got to go back with our life sciences team and they got us some videos today. We're excited to share those. So we have a colony of 100 Cebus short-tailed bats. Now these bats in the wild are going to be from Mexico to southern Brazil into Paraguay, okay? We have them in our cave display. And it's a really cool cave display where they can free flight throughout. And this is one of our little bats. And look at him, he's eating. They are actually fruit eaters. And so we feed oranges and apples, as you can see. And then they have a protein mix, which is kind of a feline marmoset diet that's all mashed together. It's really all yucky looking, doesn't it? But these guys are going to feed on those. Look at him, he's down there feeding. If you notice, they belong to members of a family that their mouths look like leaves. So if you look at the end of his mouth, you can see that little leaf that sticks out there as he's feeding. So it's pretty cool to actually see them feed like this. We also have another video that's going to show where we actually hang some fruit up. So not only do we put fruit down like this, where you can see it, we also hang it from what's called like a kebab. Like if you were making, grilled shrimp or anything at home and you put it on a kebab, same type of thing, but we don't grill it here. And we put half apples and oranges and bananas. And if you look real closely, we've got a bat right here on the back side of our banana, and he's munching away trying to get him some food. So the reason that we do food in a wide variety of presentation methods is to keep our bats active and also gives them something to really kind of work for. You know, we don't want to just hand them their food. We want them to give them a little bit of activity they're doing. Here's a plate of food in one of our holding areas. So the bats can fly back and forth, and they can fly into their holding, their night holding, and then they can fly out during the day. In our bat exhibit, we are actually trying to mimic here in the Ozarks. And so most of our bats are insect eaters, but these fruit bats allow us to be able to feed them better. We can provide a lot more food for them than we could if we were to provide insect eaters that you would find here locally here in Missouri. But really cool. If you've ever been on our facility, make sure you check out our bat cave. Got 100 of those bats flying around, and they are all males, and they originally came to us from the Kansas City, actually from the Oklahoma City Zoo. And so we do a lot of work with other zoos and aquariums across the nation working together to build our colonies of bats. So now that we've learned about our bats here at Wonders of Wildlife, and we've learned about our mission, are you ready to meet our special guest? And my understanding is we're actually going to learn how to draw a bat today. I'm excited about that. So make sure while we're getting ready to start, go grab some colored pencils or some markers, get you some paper because we're going to have some fun. We're going to learn all about bats, but at the end, we're going to really test our art skills and see how good we are with art. So I'm going to introduce Dr. Kristen Lear. She's an endangered species specialist. She's a bat conservationist and an educator, and she is from Bat Conservation International. She's going to tell us all about bats. Kristen.
Thank you, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah,
Good.
we can hear you great. Awesome. We're excited to have you.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about bats. They're my favorite animal in the whole world. So I'm really excited to also do some fun drawing. So once you have your paper, gather around because we're going to learn a little bit about some cool bats. So welcome to Bat Week. We are kind of in the middle of Bat Week right now. If you have done any of the activities, there's lots of really great activities on the Bat Week website. So please check those out because there's a lot of fantastic stuff. So now I want to jump in to talking a little bit about the bats that we have around the world and some of the really cool species that we have, because we are going to try to draw our own bat at the end. So this is just to give you a picture of all the diverse bats we have around the world. So these pictures here are just some of the bat species we have. There are over 1,400 known species currently on every continent except Antarctica. So bats really are pretty much everywhere. And with these pictures, we can see just how different they all look. So I'm going to go through and talk about each of these ones and what they eat, some of the cool facts about them. And again, we're gonna be able to learn about them and so we can draw our own. So let me pull up the first one. These are insect-eating bats. So most bats around the world eat insects, 70% of bats. So these ones, like the Mexican free-tailed bat here on the rock, this is the bat that if you have ever been to Congress Avenue Bridge in Austin, or Bracken Cave near San Antonio, Texas. These are the bats that you'll see there. There's millions of bats in the bridge and the cave, and they eat things like moths and beetles, including agricultural pests that destroy our crops like corn and cotton and pecans. So we love having these insect-eating bats around. Also, some bats eat things like mosquitoes. So again, having them around helps keep these insect populations under control. And this is one of the bats we have in the eastern US, the Rafeness Big Eared Bat. And you can see it has big ears to be able to hear its echolocation and hear its prey as it's hunting at night. Now this one down here on the bottom is a Pallid Bat. And these are in the western US and into Mexico. And they are really cool because you can see it has a centipede here. And they also eat things like scorpions. So these Pallid bats are really cool. They're kind of immune to the sting of the scorpion, which is, I think, a really cool feature of these bats. So now other bats around the world are nectar feeders. So if you think of hummingbirds, moths and butterflies and bees that drink nectar and pollinate flowers, these nectar feeding bats are doing the exact same thing. You can see this one here, a Mexican long-tongued bat, has a really long nose, kind of like a hummingbird has a really long beak. And they use that really long nose and a really long tongue that can be up to 1.5 times its body length. So that would be like if you stood up and put your hands up, your tongue would go all the way from your fingertips to the floor. And these bats are eating the nectar from these flowers, like agave plants that we use to make tequila. They eat nectar from banana plants, from cacao that we use to make chocolate, and they're pollinating these plants. So again, these nectar feeding bats are really important for bringing us over 300 different plants and foods that we love and enjoy every single day. Now, another group of bats are the fruit bats that you can see here. These fruit bats eat fruit, of course, and they are really cool because you can see the top one is a spectacled flying fox from Australia. Instead of echolocating, most bats that eat insects echolocate, and they also have eyes, so they can see. Bats are not blind. But these fruit bats, this one, for example, does not echolocate. Instead, it uses its really big eyes and its really big nose to be able to see and smell its prey, which is fruit. And this one down here is a wrinkle-faced bat. And these are one of my favorite bats because can you see all those wrinkles all over its face? They're mostly frugivorous, so they mostly eat fruit. And we think they use those wrinkles to get really ripe fruit, and they kind of shove their face in the really ripe fruit. And the juice runs down those wrinkles and the wrinkles help funnel it into their mouth. So those wrinkles are an adaptation to eating this fruit diet, which I think is pretty cool. Now, another bat that we kind of don't hear about as much, but there are some carnivorous bats that eat meat around the world. This bat here is a fringe-lipped bat, and you can see it's got kind of a big mouth and it has big teeth because it does hunt. And some of the things that these carnivorous bats hunt and eat are things like amphibians, like frogs. Some of these bats even eat birds, and some even eat mammals, like rodents, and even some other smaller bats. So these are some of my favorites too. The ghost bat in Australia in particular is really neat and able to hunt their prey and eat meat. Now, one last bat I want to show you before we do a little demo and then do our drawings is the smallest bat in the world, because I always get asked what's the smallest and what's the biggest bat. So the biggest bat is one of those flying foxes, one of the fruit-eating bats that I mentioned. And this, the Kitty's hog-nosed bat, or the bumblebee bat, is the smallest. And you can see just how tiny it is. It's about the size of your thumb tip, and it weighs less than a penny. So we have everything in the world from a tiny, tiny little bat to those fruit bats that can have a wingspan of up to 6 feet, and everything in between. So bats really are incredibly diverse and incredibly neat. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen because we're going to go to a demo, because I also get asked a lot, how do we catch bats and study them? So I have a mist net, which is what we usually use to catch bats so that we can measure them and study them. So I'm going to demo how we actually do this. This here is the net, called a mist net because it's very, very fine. It's kind of like a hairnet. You can see it's very fine, fine threads. And what we do is we put these big nets, they're like 30 feet long, so they're really big. We put them up in areas where bats are flying. And then the bats, when they're flying too fast and they're hunting their prey, and they don't see the net in time. So they're kind of, I have my little demo bat we're gonna show. So they're flying along, and then it runs into the net and it gets tangled in the net. And that is how we catch them. So then what do we do once we've caught them? Well, we go to the net and we take our gloves. We always wear gloves because we don't want to get anything on the bats. We change gloves between each individual bat because we don't want to spread anything like the white nose fungus that can hurt them. We don't want to spread that to them. And we also want to wear gloves. Usually I wear thicker gloves under these so that they can't bite us, if they feel like they're threatened. So we put them on, and then we go into the net, and we carefully take the bat out of the net. And we're trained to do this, so we don't hurt the bat, and they're kind of just sitting in our hand then. So now we have our bat. Now what do we do with our bat? Well, we want to first identify what species it is. Sometimes we can tell right away what species it is by the way it looks, by its fur color, by its size, or where it lives. Other times we might need to take measurements to figure out what species it is. And also we take measurements of its body, like weight, to see if it's a healthy bat. So I'm going to show what we do. One of the things we do is we take the weight of the bat. So I have my little bag. Usually we use, this is just a demo bag. We use a different type of bag. But I'm going to put the bat in our little bag. And usually they just sit in there, and they're pretty, we zip it up so that they can't get out. And we do this quickly. Then we have this is called a scale. So it's a hanging scale. So this will tell us how much the bat weighs. So we clip it on, and then we weigh it. This is a nice healthy bat. It's about 50 grams. So for this species, it's a good healthy bat. So that's what we want to see. Then we take the bat out of the bag. And then, so now we have it out and we're still holding it. Then we're going to measure its forearm length. So we're going to measure how long its arm is, because again, that can tell us what species it is, and it can tell us a lot of information about the bat. So I'm going to use these really cool special type of ruler that's called a caliper, and it basically will show us how big the forearm is. So we use it like this. We open it up, and then we put it on the forearm. You can see there, right there. And this bat, and then we read the number on the scale. This bat is about a little over 9 centimeters. So we write all this information down. We look at what sex the bat is, again, write down the species. And then most of the time we let the bat go. So this is my favorite part. You just hold the bat on your hand and you open your hand up and it flies off. And there you go. And that's basically how we study bats when we catch them. There's lots of other ways to study bats, but that's kind of one of the most basic ways with a mist net. So I want to, now that we've learned about how to catch bats and learned about some different types of bats around the world, Misty and I are going to do our own drawings. So if you have, everyone, grab your paper and pens or markers or whatever you have, I'm going to show you how to draw a basic bat. Now, I am a very bad artist, so this is not going to be the prettiest bat, but I will show you what we need on the bat. So let me just draw mine real quick. Okay. Well, I'll show you the body first. So this is my Mickey Mouse bat, as my friends call it. So we need a body, so it can be, kind of an oval, and then an oval for the head. And then you'll want to obviously put 2 ears, because bats have 2 ears just like we do. And then, like I said, all bats have eyes and all bats can see. So we need to add 2 eyes and a nose. And now we're going to add the wings and the feet. The wings are kind of the hardest part, but again, don't worry if it doesn't look great, because mine definitely won't. Okay. Okay, here is my lovely, amazing bat. So I have its wings. Basically, what I'll show you in a second is we want to add the finger bones to the bat, because bats actually fly with their hands and their arms. And they have really, really long finger bones. So I'm going to add those in a second. But I want to show you what these finger bones look like. So let's see, can you all see that? There we go. So this is a replica of a bat's shoulder blade, its arm here, and its 5 fingers. And the really, really cool part is that they have the exact same finger bones that we do. So up here, this really long one that's sticking out, that's its thumb. Then we have this one here, that's its pointer finger. And this one is its really long middle finger, ring finger. And then the really cool one is this really long pinky finger. So bats fly with their hands and they have the same bones that we do. So we're going to add these bones into our drawing. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. We just want to add 5 finger bones. So I'm going to add my little thumb up top on the wing. And then I'm going to add 5 fingers, 4 fingers, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll show you what that looks like. This is definitely not anatomically correct, but it gets the idea across. And then I have the 2 little feet, and we're going to put 5 toes on the feet because they have the same 5 toes that we do also. 3, 4, 5. There we go. And that's our basic bat. So now, as we draw, I love to make my bats different. So kind of what we learned about some of the things that different bats have. We had the fruit bats that have really big eyes and really big noses. We had the Rafeness Big Eared Bat, that's an insect eater, and it had really big ears. There are some bats that eat fish and they actually go fishing. So you could put really big back feet. The carnivorous bats had big teeth. So basically you can make your own bat, and I'm gonna kind of draw, and then Misty, if you want to, we can ask some questions if there's questions in the chat while we draw and finish up our bats.
Awesome, that sounds great. So one of my questions that I had is, so you do all of this research and you collect all this data. What do you guys do with the data?
Great question. So it kind of depends on what you're doing. We do lots of different things with the data. A lot of times we're trying to see populations of bats, how the bat populations are doing, if their numbers are okay. We're also trying to check for things like diseases. If you go into a cave, to swab bats for the white nose fungus. We basically are trying to figure out what bats are in an area, how many different species there are. There's really lots and lots of different things that we do with the data. And it kind of, the data that you collect depends on what your questions are, what you're trying to answer.
That's very cool, very cool. You can tell you have amazing passion for bats. So when did your love for bats start? Did it start when you were young?
It did, actually, yeah. So I actually did my first bat project when I was in 6th grade, so when I was 12. I built bat houses for my Girl Scout Silver Award project. And that was like my first time actually doing a hands-on project with bats. And let me tell you, the bat houses I built back then were not the best bat houses. I actually do have some demo bat houses that we can see.
Awesome.
So to see what actually bat houses look like. So there are different types of bat houses. This is not the only type, but this is kind of a standard bat house that you'll see. This is a demo one, so it's cut out so you can see the inside. So normally this would go all the way to the bottom. So they're kind of flat. They're not like boxes, they're more, it's flat. And then they have multiple chambers or rooms inside. So like, just like we have different rooms in our house that are different temperatures. Your basement might be colder than your living room. Same thing here, like some of these chambers will be different temperatures, and the bats can actually move around inside them based on what temperature they need at the time. So this is inside, and they kind of they land on the base and they crawl up in there, and they just hold on to the wall, and it's grooved, so you can see they can actually hold on to those little grooves. And I do have a finished one that I will show you. So this is a finished 3-chamber bat house from Habitat for Bats. And it is, you can paint them any color. This is a really cool blue. Kind of you want to paint it based on wherever you live. If you're in a really hot climate, you'd want to paint it like a light color or a white color. If you're in like Alaska or somewhere really cold, you want to paint it black. This was from Georgia, so I wanted it like a medium shade of a color. But yeah, they're pretty cool.
So if one of our guests wanted to build a bat house with their group, where could they find the plans at?
Bat Conservation International. We actually have some step-by-step plans for building your own bat houses. So definitely check that out. There are some kind of basic requirements that we really highly suggest for bat houses, like multiple chambers, certain size requirements. And then, yeah, you can also find them online. You'd want to make sure when you check if you're buying from a vendor that you buy from someone that's BCI certified, so that their bat houses meet the requirements. But check out our website, lots of great info there.
Awesome, awesome. So why would people want to put up a bat house? Why do we want to attract bats to our houses?
Yeah, so remember about 70% of bats around the world.
So it looks like maybe Kristen is froze for just a second.
They're really cool to watch. You know, if you just watch them emerging from the bat houses, they're really neat to watch. But bat houses are not the only thing you can do to help bats here. You can actually plant a bat garden, which might seem kind of counterintuitive because most of the US doesn't have nectar feeding bats, except for the Southwest. So you might think, well, if we're planting flowers, how is that going to help the bats? What you can do is you can plant night blooming flowers that open up at night and attract nocturnal insects that our insect eating bats can then eat. So you'll have your own little ecosystem in your yard. You'll be helping provide food for the bats, and again, have your own cool bat garden.
Wow, I never even thought about a garden for bats. I never even dreamed about that. I've thought about bat houses. We actually have a bat house at our house, but I've never really done the garden side. So are you ready to see my drawing? Because we're about out of time. All right, let's see. I am not a very good drawer either, but let's see if we can get it to come up. Oh, we lost it. And
oh, I love it.
Oh,
I see it. There we go. There it is.
There we go.
Oh, that looks great.
So
It looks like a very healthy bat.
I tried to give it some big eyes, and then I also put the leaf, kind of like our Seba's fruit bats. I wanted to put the leaf on the mouth. So I got that from your video and then also from ours. So thank you very much, Dr. Lear. It was amazing to meet you. You are so full of knowledge, and the passion that you have for bats is like no other. But let's check out Bat Conservation International, and let's look at some of the things that they have available for our guests to participate in.
Yep. Thank you, everyone.
So as I said earlier, we're celebrating Bat Week from October 24th through Halloween. No better time than to celebrate bats. And really, everybody needs to understand how important bats are to us. And we need to protect these species because they help us with pollination, with pest control, all of these things. So here at Bat Week International, you can learn about bats. You can become a bat hero. Who wouldn't want to be a bat hero? And being a bat hero is really easy. It's just getting involved. It's learning about bats. So you can go and you can learn about bats through their comic pages. There's fun facts. And then also take that next level and share that with others. Tell your friends about what you've learned. And then you can also create fun finger pick puppets. You can do cookbooks, all kinds of things. You can build a bat house, put it up in your yard, and just have fun. Just get involved and enjoy and become a bat hero. That's so important to us. We are so excited that we've been able to talk about bats all month long. Don't forget, on Friday, we have a special Halloween edition of our mission conservation, and we have created a Halloween mission that we're excited to tell you about. We've enjoyed being here this afternoon. We look forward to meeting you and seeing you next time. Thank you.